is James Green. He's the co-founder and game director of Carbon Games. They're working on a free-to-play action RTS air mech. It's currently open in alpha on Chrome, available now. And right next to me is John Krajewski, studio head of Strange Loop Games. They have a recently released side-scrolling puzzler called Vessel, and it's available now on Steam as well as through the developer themselves. If you'd like to give them a hand or not, it's okay. I'll be asking questions, hopefully inciting some good arguments between our panelists today. Audience, you can tweet questions to us using the hashtag IndieLifePAX throughout the hour. If they don't suck, we'll definitely ask them. And we'll try to get to as many as we can. We also have my enforcer somewhere. Where is he? There should be an enforcer in here. Oh, he's not. But he's going to have a coffee pot that I kind of jacked from my hotel because I couldn't find a bucket. And so don't tell the hotel. But we're going to have slips of paper. And if you'd like to write a question and put it in the coffee pot, we'll be bringing it up and we will be looking those over as well. And again, if they don't suck, we'll definitely ask them. Okay, so to start off, we're just going to ask some general questions just to get the flow going. So for all three of you, what would be your guys' advice on how and where to begin, either as an individual or a team, with developing a game independently? And anyone you guys can take it from the start.
So I got my start as a student. I came out of high school, didn't know what to do, so I did a big computer science degree, which introduced me to a whole lot of concepts, introduced me to programming, a bunch of artistic stuff. And from there I was like, well, programming the applications that they're asking me to do is kind of boring, so I'm going to see if I can jump in and play around with the game. And I started modding Unreal Tournament 2004. You don't have to start there because now the UDK exists and it's much easier than that. My personal view is to start anywhere, just like grab an engine, grab Unity, UDK, GameMaker, Flash, whatever you can, whatever feels interesting to you, and just start making things.
Yeah, I think it's really important just to make something, like have some goal. Like a lot of people, they have these grand plans of like, I want to make this big RPG game and it's going to be this and that, and they want to plan it out for a long time. And I just say, forget that. Like start small, start on anything that you can wrap your head around and do. On your own is actually preferable because you're not relying on another team. If you've got some other people there that will help you out, great. Use that resource, but it's so important just to get started and get going. I got into the industry myself doing models for Unreal and Quake 2. I started from the art side, so I always have had advice over the years for people that want to come at it from that angle. Like, do something, get into the mod community. Like, they're always thirsty for people that can do some kind of art. It doesn't even have to be good, just anything. It's like if you can use, Blender or Max or anything, Milkshake, just anything you can at all to help. Just say on some forum, some message board, hey, I'd like to help, Project X, and they will swoop down and fight over you probably. You just want to get your name on something that somebody's doing. That's the best way to start. Just get your foot in the door and make something. You don't need to go to a school. I know a lot of people are going to schools. Like that's definitely a path you can take if you're self-motivated. But I've told people over the years, like, go get an archaeology degree or whatever. It's like just do something. Be in an environment where you can work on your game. And that, sometimes it's in a school for games, sometimes it's studying old bones on the side, and you've got lots of time to either party or work on games in college. Just do something. It doesn't matter if you're in high school or anything. Just do it.
Why aren't you making games right now?
Yeah, why are you here?
Yes, go.
So yeah, definitely what these two guys said is how I feel as well. I mean, there's just so many opportunities now for people who want to get into indie games. I remember when I was a kid and interested in games, like I had to check out the crappy old Apple IIe programming book. That was like the only thing I had for the first 10 years trying to learn programming. And now it's like the internet. There's so many tutorials, so many different languages and routes you can go. You can make games on your Xbox, anything. So definitely just make something is really the thing. Even if you're going to school while you're doing it. That was kind of my route, is I was always, even if I wasn't working at a game studio, I was like making games in my spare time. I was always kind of developing that and just thinking about it and, meeting other people who are interested in that. And then eventually that just kind of builds up over the years. And I think that's the way to go about it, just kind of this slow burn.
And just being realistic with your expectations. expectations. Like,
Yes.
don't be like, all right, I'm going to make a game that's going to kill Braid when it's the very first thing you make, because he was making games for like 16 years.
Finish things.
Yes. Finish things. Go to a game jam. Game jams are great. They're like a weekend long, and you can collaborate with people because you're forced to, and start picking up skills.
One thing I will say right now is, platforms have you developed? What platforms have you developed for? And what would you say is the best platform to start if you're an aspiring developer?
John, you're on last.
So I've developed for consoles pretty much exclusively for the last 8 or 9 years, and consoles and PC. And just now we just finished Vessel, and we're just starting to look at, maybe one of these other console or other platforms is going to be a good option, like iOS or maybe something on Facebook, do something interesting there. So yeah, we've really had our head into that console space, and now it's like time to look up and see what else is out there. There's so many opportunities, and just getting our head around that.
I guess I've worked on console games quite a bit, but from more the art side, you end up working on PC most of the time anyways. So your primary platform is always that. Like I've worked on from Unreal Tournament to a few of the Splinter Cell games to the last thing we did was Fat Princess before Air Mech, and all those games, I mean, if they're on a console, you're developing on the PC. So and all the resurgence of PC these days, like there's no reason not to be developing on PC. Like it's just the most flexible, quick, iterative platform. Like that's where I would suggest anybody to start. You can always graduate to doing something specific on consoles, but I think PC is the best platform to get started on.
Yeah, PC. It doesn't have to be a standalone game. I know I have a lot of friends who got their start just making Flash games. You can get them on the web, put them in front of a lot of people quickly. I would probably stay away from consoles as your first kinds of experiences. Like, definitely don't start out and think, oh my god, I'm going to have a game on XBLA and PSN, because you're going to get caught up doing a hell of a lot of stuff that isn't making your first game, because a game that you haven't finished and can't release is worth nothing. Yeah, PC.
It's like Unity is a good option, something that you can put to other platforms easily. If you're starting with an engine, that's a good place to start, is anything that you can, have that flexibility.
Sure, yeah, sure. Engines, let's talk about a little bit engines and stuff, and what do you guys use?
Our engine was custom for Vessel, but for our next project, we're either going to port that engine or maybe take another engine and then put our technology into that. So instead of redoing all the work, we're creating all those ports. So we're looking at, Unity's a big candidate, a number of other ones.
For Air Mech, we use custom technology, but I wouldn't advise that to anyone starting out. We had a very specific set of requirements, and that's what led us to do that. Well, that and having some engineers that have written engines over and over on their own. That's the only circumstance I would suggest that makes sense. Anybody who comes up to me, I tell them go Unity or UDK. I got my start on modding like Quake stuff and Unreal, and I still think, especially from the art side, if you just want to see something, get something done and get it in the engine and jumping around and moving, you start from the modding side of things, whether you're making a weapon mod or a vehicle mod, or you want to do a whole new game type, or you can of course make a full game modding UDK. If you want to be on every platform with a different set of licensing terms, Unity is great too. I guess I suggest Unity a bit more to engineers, whereas I know a lot of artists that can sort of make their way through Unreal Script. So I don't know, one or the other. It just depends what people gravitate towards, but definitely start with something to give you a head start. Yeah, I see people, they want to like write an engine or something, like, oh, I'm gonna like go learn C++ and write an engine. I'm like, what? No, you're gonna get discouraged and quit and never do anything down that approach. I mean, I'm sure even the best of us in the industry would, if we'd gone down that path of just starting on the hardest task, you wouldn't finish it. So I don't think anyone should do that. There's no pride in saying, oh, I wrote my engine when I was 12 or something. It's like, no, just get some real experience.
So, who knows Crayon Physics? Okay, so Crayon Physics was made by a guy called Petri Puro, who started out making his own engine, and he spent 2 years working on this engine, and at the end of it he had a black screen. He had nothing. Right? He did have a full engine, but he just had no game at the end of it. And he only got to Crayon Physics by doing like the experimental gameplay project, which is like a monthly thing where you get a theme, 7 days to try and throw something together. And by doing that for quite a long time, he then picked up all the necessary skills by making, finished games that he could then go back and make, crayon physics. So even if you are a programmer, even if you do enjoy things like C++, etc., there is still no harm in jumping into something like the UDK, messing around in Unreal Script, so you can at least get a game up and running. And then you will also learn how, Epic structured their engine. So if you do decide to try and, create your own thing, you will at least have some sort of foundation there first.
I suppose I should play the devil's advocate in this one, but in our case, with Vessel, it started off as just kind of, I want to make a physics engine, I want to experiment, make my own thing. And the fact is it took 3 years part-time hobby before it became like something we could actually start making a game on. But that was kind of a successful route, because we eventually finished the game. But if I was going to go and decide, okay, I want to make a game, I would start making my engine right now. But it just kind of worked out that okay, I can experiment with this while I'm doing other things, and then eventually it went that route. So there is some value in learning how engines are built and being able to have that skill.
But you also had a history as a programmer first. You didn't dive straight into independent development. And you yourself have said, even if you were trying to mess around with physics simulations and stuff, you could still probably do a bunch of that in Unity.
Probably, yeah. I mean, there's a number of routes you can go, but I still feel like there was some value in being able to understand all parts of the engine because you built it. But I wouldn't recommend it if your goal is to make a game and make it, within the next 10 years. That's probably not the best way to do it.
But you can put it in very real terms of building a house. It's like, yeah, you could build a house on your own the first time, but you probably learned how to work on a smaller part of that house first. You don't want to say it's impossible, because there are those outliers that, they spent 10 years and built their own house from scratch and didn't fall over. Great, congrats, but it's not the best practice path that I would suggest.
Agreed.
So describe your guys' work environment, and has that changed over the last? I mean, I'm sure you guys have gone through a lot going through years, but what would be your office, so to speak? So now and before, I guess, when you just got started.
Okay, so before I had a desk with a computer on it, I had a window next to me.
I had that too.
I had a bed behind me. I had a door that led to a kitchen and the rest of it. Now, however, I have a desk with a computer on it, a window next to me, a bed behind me. I work from a bedroom and that has never changed.
On what level do you guys communicate with your player community? Do you guys see that as an important part of your?
Some of the people I run their stuff on, and some of the people I run their stuff through Google Translate, just so I can, help them run it on their 286 from Brazil or whatever. I'm like, I feel really bad, but I enjoy it though. It's kind of a guilty pleasure. I do enjoy working with the fans. I just wonder at what point it's going to continue to make sense. We did an update, an Easter update for the game, and we put out some Easter content, and one of the items we put out was Jesus, and it kind of raised some eyebrows. We have a number of very religious individuals in our closed testing group that we talk to all the time on Steam chat, and we kind of cleared it with them, hey, would you guys think it's cool if we put Jesus? No, we're not making fun of him, nothing, it's Jesus. And they're like, yeah, it's okay. So then we put it out, and then some people on the message board, and they're like, I'm not comfortable with this, this bothers me, and against my better judgment, I go in and explain our position. We're not actually making fun of him, we just want to put him, we're not, you go see, we have a really nice picture of Jesus that we created.
He looks really good, yes.
And he's got really good healing abilities. He's a pretty boss character. He's pretty good. And I explained our position, and then the guy came back and he said, "Oh, I appreciate you explaining it that way. I'm okay with it now." And I won an internet, It freaked the rest of the testers out. They were like, "What just happened?" So, but yeah, it's been a.
Want to get funding though? If you do want to get funding though, as the question is specifically, it does definitely open doors. I mean, it makes things easier. You can feed yourself, which is nice. So,
Food's not required. Food is good. So, yeah.
But not required.
was that?
It's not required though.
Not required. But I think the best way to do that is to get your game seen, build up that publicity, because I mean, the audience who potentially invest in your game, investors, is the same as, you know, they're part of the player base that's looking at games. So put it in the contest, put it in IGF. You know, there's tons of indie contests out there. Just get it out there, build that community. I think that's a good way to start.
Yeah, there's other methods.